Hello children, how are you? I think everything is going fine, right? Okay, you are staying at the home at the same time studying well, yes or no? Yeah, the answer is yes, I know it. Okay, with the same spirit, we'll move ahead to learn the new topic, the cell membrane. In this topic, we are not going to learn anything about cell structure or cell membrane structure or anything about the functioning of the cell. It is rather about the transport of substances that occur across the cell membrane. Since every function of any organism is taking place at the cellular level, there are many things that need to enter into the cell and leave the cell. How this transport occurs across the cell membrane. That is our topic of discussion for today.
Children, now look at this diagram. This is a well-known diagram for us. This is the structure of a cell membrane. And according to the structure of the cell membrane, this is the fluid mosaic model. And we know that the fluid part of the cell membrane is made up of a lipid bilayer, and the mosaic is nothing but the protein that is embedded in the lipid bilayer. So this is the membrane that every molecule should pass through for any metabolic activity. Take any metabolic activity in our body. The substances that participate in the metabolic activity need to pass through this membrane so that it functions in that metabolic activities. Suppose if you take for example, if you take the glucose molecule, this is the molecule that is taken into our food, and to get metabolized it should enter into the cell. So it should pass through the cell membrane to enter into the cell. Taking the second molecule, say for example carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is produced after the glucose is metabolized. So this should come out of the cell so that it is released out from our body. And for example, if you take amino acids, these are to be entering into the cell for the construction of proteins. And when they enter into the cell, proteins that are produced need to pass out of the cell. And we know that the proteins are produced by the organelles that are present inside the cell by using the amino acid that enter into the cell. Ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, these are the organelles which help in production of proteins. Once a protein is produced inside the cell, it needs to pass out of the cell by passing through the same cell membrane. So now understanding how the substances pass across the cell membrane is the point of discussion in this topic. So, what are the two main processes that help in transport of substances across the membrane, across the cell membrane are, first one, osmosis, and second one is diffusion. These are the two processes which help the substances cross the cell membrane and reach the site of action. But before understanding osmosis and diffusion, we need to understand another topic. What is concentration? How does concentration of one liquid differs from other liquid? This is very important to understand the concept of osmosis and diffusion. So first let us understand the concentration. What is the concentration of a solution? It is the amount of solute that is dissolved in a solvent. It can be either a dilute solution or a concentrated solution. A dilute solution is one which is having less amount of solute, let us take it to be a sugar, and a concentrated solution is a solution which is having more amount of solute in it. By in the same amount of solvent, if the amount of solute is more, it is said to be a concentrated solution, or else it is a dilute solution. Suppose let us take a beaker. In that beaker we have taken 200 ml of water and we are adding some amount of solute to this. And the first time we will prepare the dilute solution, we will reduce the amount of sugar that we are adding, and we will take a small amount of sugar and add it to the 200 ml of water that we have taken in the beaker, and we will mix it, stir it well till the sugar is completely mixed. This is the dilute solution. In this solution, the amount of solute is less. If you see the animation picture of this dilute solution, the components which are in orange color are the solute particles, They are very less compared to the water that is taken inside the beaker. So the solute distribution is very less in the dilute solution compared to the molecules of solvent, which are very much, which are so much in number. That is a dilute solution. If you take a concentrated solution, in this concentrated solution we are taking a large amount of dissolved solute is present in this compared to that we have taken in the dilute solution. For this also, for the preparation of concentrated solute also, we need to take a beaker, 200 ml of water. That I said you that the water concentration, by keeping it stable, we need to add more amount of solute in it. Then it becomes a concentrated solute. So we are adding more amount of sugar to this 200 ml of water so that it becomes a concentrated solution. Now I am adding this to this 200 ml of water. So this time the solute is more, which I am dissolving in the water, the same amount of water. So now the solution that is formed as a result of mixing large amount of solute is a concentrated solution, and we can see it is thicker. And if you see the distribution of solute molecules in a concentrated solution, the amount of solute particles are more compared to a dilute solution. This is a comparative phenomena. If you take another solution and add more, very less amount of sugar in that, that is the dilute solution compared to the first solution. So concentration is a comparative phenomena. So now we know that the solution which is having less solute particles is a dilute solution, and which is having more solute particles is a concentrated solution. Now if we want to bring both the concentration to equilibrium, what can we do? There are two methods of doing this. One is by adding more solvent to the concentrated solution. That is one thing. And second thing that can be done is to reduce the amount of solute in the second solution. So osmosis uses the first principle to bring both two liquids, biological liquids, to equilibrium. That is, it adds up water to the concentrated liquid to bring two liquids into equal concentration. Okay, that is the process of osmosis. What is osmosis? Let us understand here. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules or any other solvent through a semi-permeable membrane from the region of low concentration to a region of high concentration. It's just a passive movement, no energy is required in this process. If you observe the diagram below the definition, we have two beakers. First beaker represents the initial situation, and the second beaker, which is on the right side, represents the final situation. In the first situation, that is the first beaker, you can see that left side of the liquid semi-permeable membrane has liquid which is having less solute, and the right side of semi-permeable membrane there is a liquid which is having more concentration, that is more amount of solute. Now to bring both the concentrations to equilibrium, the solvent molecules which are on the left side of the semi-permeable membrane move to the right side. The red layer that is present in the middle of beaker is the semi-permeable membrane. So solvent molecules, that is water molecules, pass through the semi-permeable membrane and reach the other side where the concentration liquid is present. And finally water passes and passes. At one stage both sides the concentration becomes equal. That is, the amount of solvent particles and solute particles is relatively equal on both sides of the membrane. That condition is called as equilibrium. Till this condition is acquired, the particles keep on moving. This is osmosis.
Okay children, now you know what is osmosis. To make this point more clear, we have some experiments. We'll go through those experiments to understand and fix the concept of osmosis in our minds. But before that, we should learn how to make a saturated solution. That we are going to learn by watching this video. Okay.
What are we going to do today?
I want to test whether a glass of water can dissolve any amount of sugar.
What's there to check? Quite a lot of sugar can be dissolved in a glass of water.
I don't think so.
Okay then, go ahead and test it. We shall find out the truth.
This glass contains water, while this bowl has sugar.
Only this much sugar. Bring some more.
Let this much sugar get dissolved in the water first. Then I will bring some more.
Okay, let's start.
Put a spoonful of sugar into the water, miss.
See, a spoonful of sugar completely dissolved in a glass of water.
Wait, we shall add more sugar now. Miss, keep adding more sugar in the glass.
Oh no! The sugar is not dissolving in the water anymore.
Exactly. This is what I was telling you.
So it means that if we take fixed quantity of water, only a fixed quantity of sugar can be dissolved in it.
Not just sugar. Any dissolving substance will have a fixed quantity that will dissolve in a given fixed quantity of water.
That means things like salt, baking soda, etc. will also have a fixed quantity that dissolve in water.
Yes, if you want, shall we try this test with some other dissolvable substance?
Hey, if we do all the work, what will our friends do then? Friends, try this test with the other dissolvable substance and do tell us your experiences in the comment section below.
Okay, now tell me, what would you call this solution when sugar cannot be dissolved anymore in the water?
When sugar dissolved in water, a solution was created. So what else would you call it other than a solution?
It will be a solution when any substance dissolve in it. But when that substance cannot dissolve further, then it is known as saturated solution.
Saturated solution. This means that when no more sugar can be dissolved in a glass of water, the solution is now known as saturated solution.
Correct.
Hey, you
Now you have seen how to make a saturated solution. But my question is, why should we learn to make a saturated solution? I have an answer for this. Listen carefully. We are going to experiment with raisin, potato and egg. These three are biological substances. And they have biological fluid in them, that is nothing but cytoplasm. It is not a substance, it's not simply a water, it is a solution which is having certain concentration. And we don't know what is the concentration. We have to choose two liquids, one such that it is having lower concentration compared to these liquids, biological liquids, and one which is having higher concentration compared to these liquids. So for that, I have chosen first tap water. Tap water is definitely having less solute than any biological liquid. So this is the liquid which we want to be hypotonic. Hypotonic, nothing but less concentrated solution. So we have one hypotonic solution with us. Now I want a solution which is having more concentration than any of the biological fluid, that is any of the cytoplasm of any cells. So for that purpose, I prepared a saturated solution. A saturated solution is having more amount of solute, maximum amount of solute that it can hold. Maximum amount of solute. Since it is having maximum amount of solute, any other liquid's concentration cannot be more than that. So definitely these liquids which are present in raisin, potato, egg membrane are having less concentration compared to the saturated solution. So this is the hypertonic solution which we have. Hypertonic, nothing but high concentrated solution. High concentrated solution which we have. So now we have a low concentrated solution, a high concentrated solution compared to any biological fluids. So then now we can start our experiment. So first we'll start with the raisins experiment. Yes, I hope you understood the topic clearly, children. Okay, stay safe, keep learning, children. Happy learning.